Hello, my dear students. Myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom. Today, we are going to learn political science, which is part of social science, in which we study history, geography, and political science here in standard 10th. The textbook of political science till now have helped us to take an overview of local government, the values and the philosophy of the Indian Constitution. But now here in standard 10th, what we have to study in political science, that is working of the Constitution, the electoral process, political parties, social and political movements, and the last chapter, challenges faced by Indian democracy. In general, in the political science, we study the constitution structures created by the constitution and India's place in international relations. But here now we have to study this in detail as working of the constitution. You people already learnt basic things or have information about our constitution, which you learnt in 7th standard, and that's why you know that the book in which all the provisions regarding the administration of the country are mentioned together in a systematic way is called a constitution. So in short or in simple way, we can say that constitution is nothing but the book in which we have rules about how to rule the country. But that was in 7th standard. Now here in 10th, we have to study this in detail about the working of the constitution, and especially if we talk about this topic, we will learn how the constitution has strengthened democracy in India and the role of constitution towards social change. The Indian Constitution has declared its objective to establish a secular democratic republic. Now here it is very important to understand the meaning of the word secular, which means not connected with any religious or spiritual matters, or in simple language we can say secular is what which is non-religious. It means that there is not a single religion of our country, or there is no official religion of our country. And then it has made extremely important provisions to ensure that the citizens get justice and their freedom is protected. It means that both the things are important, justice and freedom. As a citizen of India, our constitution guarantees us about the social justice and about protection of our freedom. The Indian Constitution is seen as the means through which a progressive developed society based on social justice and equality will be established. And here these things which are mentioned in our preamble are to be considered. The Constitution came into force on 26 January 1950, and since then the government has been working in accordance with the principles of the Constitution, and we are talking about the principles which are mentioned in the preamble, that is justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. So in this chapter we will study the wide ranging nature of Indian democracy, important changes that have taken place in its political process, and steps that have been taken to establish social justice and equality. Again and again, two words are stressed here, that is social justice and equality. This review will primarily focus on three areas, that is democracy, social justice and judicial system. In today's session, we'll just try to understand the nature of democracy, and the points which we have to discuss under this heading of democracy are political maturity, right to vote, right to information and decentralization of democracy. Here now the first point is political maturity. As we all know, maturity is a very common word which we use in our day-to-day life. But here the depth of this word maturity is increased because it is with politics. So political maturity of citizen is very important in democracy because democracy does not merely imply a representative structure. It's not only representative structure, but it is something more than representative structure, and that is what is political maturity. The essence of representative system is to integrate the principles of democracy in actual practice. It means that representative system without justice or without fraternity or without equality or without liberty is of no use. It should go with all these principles which are mentioned in the Constitution. Here now, the next thing, accordingly, the Indian people have direct representation in the parliament, state legislature and in local government. We can simplify this like one can easily enter in the parliament, in state legislature or in local government by contesting election. And this is the thing given to us by our Constitution. Holding free and fair elections at regular intervals is an important indicator of India's successful democracy. After every 5 years, we people participate in the process of election that we'll study in detail in the next lesson. But here the thing about our democracy, holding free and fair elections is the beauty of Indian democracy, or is the speciality of Indian democracy. Or we can say that because of this holding free and fair elections, our democracy is continuously strengthening. The increasing participation of the people in the political process and political competition shows that Indian democracy has become successful to a great extent. And this is not the simple thing, because continuously the number of voters increasing, continuously the political parties emerging in the different parts of our country, and all these things together makes our democracy strong. And as a citizen of India, we people also play an important role in this process. Now the next point, right to vote. In the pre-independence period, several provisions existed which restricted the right to vote. It was depend on social status or on the property. But the Indian Constitution had made the provision of right to vote for adults. All such provisions which were before independence were cancelled after independence, and the Indian Constitution guaranteed adult suffrage, which means right to vote, by giving right to vote equally to both men and women above the age of 21 years. And there is no any kind of discrimination in the right to vote. The voting age was later reduced from 21 to 18, which gave opportunity to political participation to the young generation in India. And such provisions have made India the largest democracy in the world. India has the largest number of voters compared to any other democratic nation. And this change is not only quantitative but also qualitative, as new political parties are emerging with the active support of young voters. These parties represent various expectations of people and compete in the political sphere. Because of this thing, or right to vote without any kind of discrimination, voting percentage is increasing day by day. Awareness in the people is increasing day by day, and our democracy is strengthening day by day. One more thing which is very important about our democracy and which is mentioned in our constitution is decentralization of democracy. Now by this picture you can easily understand the difference between centralization versus decentralization. In centralization, in the first picture you can see all the rights or the decisions are controlled in the hands of only one person, and that's why there is chance of misuse of power. But when we talk about decentralization, there is kind of interdependence, there is kind of control, there is kind of watch, and that's why we can say decentralization of power is central to democratic government. And because of all these things, we have civil society with our constitutional principles. Decentralization controls the misuse of power and also creates opportunities for political participation for the common people. Everyone is equal in front of the law. One such important attempt is the 73rd and 74th Amendment to Indian Constitution, which gave a constitutional status to local self-governing institutions and also increased their powers. This also you people learnt in local government bodies like Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti, Jilla Parishad, Municipal Corporation, that how these institutions are enjoying their rights and doing the things for betterment of people. And in short, we can say this is what is the decentralization of power. It is not in the hand of any single person. It is distributed among all, and while distributing, our representatives are there to follow these things. And the next point in this, which is very important, is right to information, that is RTI Act. Citizen empowerment is the essential condition of democracy. It is necessary to create opportunities for citizens' participation and interaction with the government. For this, the government of India gave the right to information to the citizens of India to ensure transparency and accountability, which are the hallmarks of good governance. By using this right, you can ask any question to the government, and government is bound to answer you within the given time period. And because of this, there is increased communication between citizens and government, helps in strengthening democracy and in building a relationship of trust between them. Right to information has made the government more transparent. After the year 2000, the whole approach towards democratic reforms has changed. Democratic reforms are considered as rights of citizens. Accordingly, citizens in India have got right to information, education and food security. These rights have strengthened democracy in India.